Welcome to the Oscars Cheat Sheet Miniseries. Why bother having an opinion on this year's Best Picture nominees when you can just use ours? Welcome along, everybody, to the Cold Picture Podcast, and welcome back to our Oscar Cheat Sheet mini-series where we're watching and discussing all of the Best Picture nominees at this year's Oscars to tell you guys what we thought about them so that you don't have to watch them and you can just echo our thoughts if you'd like. And I'm joined as usual by my co-host Richard and actor/friend, actor first, friend second, Aaron.
Thank you. It's important to get that order right.
And Richard, what are we talking about?
Today we're discussing, will West Side Story win Best Picture? And the answer is no.
It already did.
Yeah, it might have. By the time this comes out.
In 1961 it did.
Yeah. Who's seen the original here?
Not me.
Not me.
That would be me.
The only thing I knew about the original is it's where the joke of clickety-clackety gangsters come from, where they're like, and then they didn't even do that in the new one. I don't think
they did it a bit, didn't they?
They did things I recognized, but I don't think they literally did the snaps. I could be wrong. If they did, it was right at the start.
Yeah, it's in the opening scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
they get it. It's like at the start of Borat 2, how he's like, my life has been very nice, not my life. And they're like, let's just get this out. We know what you came for. Let's just focus on making a movie.
Exactly like that. All right, well, Aaron, would you be able to tell us what is West Side Story, and specifically Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, what it is about?
So West Side Story is an adaptation basically of the classic Romeo and Juliet story, except it's set in New York. I think the Steven Spielberg one is probably set in the sort of 60s as well. It's sort of the first one. Mm-hmm. Anyway, It follows two rival gangs. One of them are sort of Irish white descendant gang called the Jets, who are one side, basically New Romeo's side, and then the other side Puerto Rican, and their gang is called the Sharks. Yeah, thank you. So basically it follows the kind of classic structure of Romeo and Juliet, which if you're not familiar is two people from rival households, a boy and a girl, both meet each other at a dance and they fall in love. And then that love, they attempt to pursue the love against the wishes of their houses, or in this case, their races, I guess you would say, and also gangs. And eventually there are sort of tragic outcomes. So in this case, I can't remember the actual character's name, but effectively Juliet's brother gets killed by Romeo, and Bernardo, thank you. Beautiful pronunciation. And he also kills Romeo's best friend, who in this case is called...
is it Riff?
Yeah, that's the one. And then eventually the person who's attempting to court Juliet, or her actual character's name in West Side Story, is...
Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
This is fun.
He decides to kind of take out revenge for the murder of Bernardo, and he eventually ends up shooting to death Romeo, whose name in West Side Story is...
Tony.
And in the original and in most of the Shakespeare's, Maria dies, but interestingly for this particular version, Maria lives.
Oh, is that unique to the Spielberg one?
Yeah. I think so. Oh, no, maybe I'm thinking of this wrong. I'm pretty sure she dies in the original West Side Story, but maybe I'm wrong.
Interesting.
Let's have a look, shall we? That is really fascinating because obviously knowing this was a Romeo and Juliet adaptation, I was shocked to see Maria not die.
It kind of made sense, though. It felt like it would be an inorganic kind of stretching of the plot to have her die as well.
Yeah, I guess in the original version, Juliet is led to believe that Romeo is dead, and she kills herself with his poison, which is self-inflicted, I guess. Whereas in this version, he is killed by someone else.
Yeah, so, they translate the concept of poison from Romeo and Juliet to a angry guy with a gun, which is a lot harder to do the like, you're dead, now I'm gonna die. Wait, no, I'm not dead, but now you're dead, so now I'm gonna die. It does all those steps but one, because I think it's harder to do when the cause of death is a gunman and not poison.
Maria doesn't die in the original film nor the stage play.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
So
yes.
unique to West Side Story.
No, she doesn't die in any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's unique to West Side Story.
Unique to West Side Story as opposed to other Romeo and Juliet adaptations.
Yeah, right.
And Richard, do you have any more details you want to give us about this? So Steven Spielberg.
Oh yeah, so West Side Story, latest film from Steven Spielberg. It's a musical, obviously, based on it's a Sondheim musical. Who passed away 3 days before the film premiered. Yeah, it stars Ansel Elgort as Tony, Rachel Zegler as Maria, and Ariana DeBose as Anita, and then also stars Rita Moreno, who won an Oscar for playing Anita in the original film as Valentina.
Huh.
Yeah, so Rachel Zegler is like a newcomer. Yeah, there was an open casting call via Twitter for the part, and she was 16 years old, and she responded with videos, and then after like a year of auditions, how these things work, she was selected from over 30,000 applicants, and this is her film debut. She won a Golden Globe for Best Actress, Motion Picture Comedy or Musical. She's the first actress of Colombian descent to win, and now the youngest winner in that category. She's going to be in Shazam 2, and she's also going to be playing Snow White in the new adaptation of Snow White, apparently.
The package you give to new up and coming actresses is here's a superhero movie and a Disney live action remake. There you go.
Yeah, it is funny. So she posted when it was like random newcomer that plucked out of obscurity to play Maria. When that was announced, people found a video of her singing "Shallow" from A Star Is Born, and like they got shared around and being like, "Holy shit, this chick can sing!" And then I saw she made like a TikTok or something like that was like me. It's like pretty much being like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself if one more interviewer asks me about how I got discovered after posting a video of me performing "Shallow," and it's like I auditioned for a year. It was a very long process that came out afterwards. Like I wasn't just they didn't just see me sing and go, "Wow, she's gonna play Maria," which is like the narrative that's kind of been spun.
And what happened to Ansel Elgort's career since he shot this film? Anything quite as interesting, or
well, he's in an Academy Award nominated movie, so it's obviously not too bad. But yeah, he had some in the middle of 2020, he had a woman on Twitter accused Elgort of sexually assaulting her in 2014, which she was 17, he was 20. He denied the allegation, saying that him and the woman had a brief, legal, and entirely consensual relationship. And another Twitter user accused him of sending her unsolicited dick pics when she was 14.
So yeah, that's certainly a cloud that's hung over this movie. And I didn't watch this in cinemas, and all I heard from my Twitter circles was like, I know it stars Ansel Elgort, but you've got to see it. It rocks. It's such a good movie. Spielberg has done it again. He killed it. It's absolutely amazing. And I sat down to watch it a couple of weeks ago, and I thought this was so boring and not at all my kind of film. And I really, 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 really didn't respond to it, really didn't like it. And I was the first of the three of us to watch it, I think. And so I was like, I hope Richard likes it so that, we can have a podcast where I'm saying the least common opinion of it not being good, and we can have someone representing sort of the general consensus. And then Richard saw it and was like, I didn't like this. And then Aaron, I was like, hey Aaron, did you like West Side Story? And you're like, nah man. And I was like, oh no. We're gonna, like, a good podcast should have three different perspectives, or all those, if they're the same perspective, they should be the general consensus, I think. Yeah. But in this case, it's not, because now we're all sitting here ready to trash on the this much-loved movie, I guess. This
Well,
is my least favourite Oscar Best Picture nominee of the bunch this year, easily.
Yeah.
Mm,
I do. We do have the virtue of Aaron has seen the original and loves the original.
Okay,
So
talk more about that.
we're not just saying the West Side Story is bad. We're just saying I thought this movie is bad. But Aaron, yeah, are you able to talk a little bit about why you think this film pales in comparison to the original?
Yeah, I think it's in some ways it's hard to put my finger on it. Part of the magic of me seeing the first West Side Story was about 6 months ago. I went and saw like an original kind of film cut of it, like it was shot on film. So I don't know, there was something about the film part of it that was like the images were particularly amazing.
And you're watching it with a crowd who are there for that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess also like I hadn't seen a version of West Side Story before, so I went in fresh. Whereas like this time I watched it was definitely that kind of experience of like, okay, I've seen this before, why are you remaking this? And it sort of felt like when I was watching the new West Side Story, it was like probably everything is slightly better in the sense that like the dancing is more elaborate, probably the like singing is potentially like better or whatever. But yeah, I don't know, there was sort of a liveness and a freshness to the first version, and yeah, I think there were also elements of the second one that they like changed things, and I felt that was kind of for the worse. Like there's this kind of opening sequence, or when you first meet Maria in the first one, she's talking about the red dress thing, which happens in the second one, but they basically don't allow her to have a red dress. But then in the final scene, and I'm pretty sure this happens, she's like wearing a red dress when her partner dies or her beloved dies, which I think is like a kind of amazing like small detail that they changed in the new one. Yeah, well, yeah, right. Exactly. But you know, it's just that sort of I don't know, like love and care given to the original that like although there's probably a lot of care and dedication, it just felt, I don't know, it felt somehow inauthentic or too polished or something like that, you know?
One thing that surprised me, I found out after watching it, was that, so other than various people snapping their fingers, I did recognize some of the songs from this movie that have just, made their way to my brain over the years. And, I found out after watching it that they moved the placement of the song I Feel Pretty in the new movie to after the shootout and two main characters have died. And when I was watching this movie, having not seen the original, and I Feel Pretty started, I was like, this is where they placed this song? What is...
like, why is she feeling pretty now of all times?
Like, what a whiplash to go from like a pivotal turning point where characters are killed to like this very sort of floaty free happy song. And obviously they're trying to play with tone, but I think that song works better before any of the madness ensues, so that you would have a bedrock from which you understand the character of Maria from. Right? And by moving that, I think it makes it this dark, twisted thing that didn't sit right with me. And afterwards, finding out that it's not supposed to be there, I was like, oh, well, of course it's not supposed to be there. That's a strange place for the song. And a few other things that I didn't like about it. I think that I don't know if I don't like Shakespeare, if that's a controversial take, or maybe I'm sick of Shakespeare. I'm very unfamiliar with Shakespeare. I know a couple of like I probably less know full stories and more know certain plot beats that are Shakespearean. And Romeo and Juliet, not only is it probably the one I know the most, that is also the one I'm the most sick of. Am I wrong in thinking that every adaptation of Romeo and Juliet just, like, woefully misinterprets the point of the story? I don't think I'm the first person to say this, because I feel like I've heard this somewhere before. But to me, Romeo and Juliet should be a story about how you need to take care of your children because they'll think they're in love with each other and kill each other over it. Whereas it feels like every adaptation has been like the love story to transcend all love stories. And I don't know if I can believe two people who meet as young teenagers and then after their first sighting, they're in love, and there's Tony kills Maria's brother in this, and then everyone's really upset about it, and then he goes to her house, climbs in her window, and I was like, oh my god, she's gonna kill him. Like, she'll be so angry, and within a minute she has sex with him, and she all is forgiven. And I was like, I think it's worse that you killed her brother than it is good that you're here. Like, I think the act of killing someone's brother would make you go, oh, this has gotten out of hand. I'm actually not that into you. And so things like that, I don't know. It just doesn't feel real to me. I'll say it. I did not buy into the love story of West Side Story. Whether that's Ansel Elgort and Rachel Ziegler, whether that's Romeo and Juliet, I don't know. I just did not buy. I did not see it as very authentic. And so when the shit hit the fan, I was gobsmacked to see them decide to stick with it through thick and thin, I guess.
One complaint I had, or like what was a talking point about the film, is that so before the release, it came out that Steven Spielberg was deciding not to subtitle any of the Spanish in the film, which, and so for if you haven't seen the film, there's a lot of it's not like entire scenes play out in Spanish unsubtitled, but it's like there'll be a couple of lines here and there, or people will sort of just drop the odd Spanish words, or like, finish a sentence in Spanish kind of thing. It feels very natural, but none of it's subtitled in English. And Spielberg explained the decision, saying it was done out of respect for the inclusivity of our intentions to hire a totally Latinx cast to play the Sharks boys and girls. If I subtitle the Spanish, I'd simply be doubling down on the English and giving the English the power over the Spanish. This was not going to happen in the film. I needed to respect the language enough to not subtitle it, which is all well and good in theory. But the thing that I found, though, is if you watch this film on Disney Plus, it's on Disney Plus now, and you watch it with English subtitles, it just subtitles it speaking Spanish, which is like
the opposite problem.
To me, that's that you're doing the opposite. Then you're saying no, the Spanish people are different. You're not supposed to be able to understand them. Like, these people are weird and they're speaking a different language. Like, yeah, it is this weird thing where it feels more like should have learned Spanish if you wanted to. Which I get that it's like. And maybe it's, in different parts that, if they're throwing out the old Spanish word and you live in a
bilingual.
You live in sort of a more of a bilingual kind of like if you made this movie in New Zealand and you dropped the odd Māori word in there, I would probably have an easier time understanding what the words sprinkled in would be, just because you hear them a lot more in your everyday speech. But yeah, I then found it alienating, and it made me. I get Spielberg was trying to be like, no, you're not supposed to take sides or whatever, and they're supposed to sort of be equal. But even when I was watching it with like the entire thing captioned, when you're not giving me captions for one of them, that makes me it's harder to fucking sympathize with them and get on board with them.
Well, it's a very old school kind of weird creative decision from Spielberg, where it's like, we live in the golden age of subtitles now, and like not only do some people prefer them, some people need them. And we're going to talk about another film later on which has very much the needs subtitles because it's about hard of hearing people. And it's like an attempt to be inclusive that as soon as you go far past the first step, it backfires completely and actually becomes pretty exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does become an example of kind of othering them if they're like, well, we can't understand them, so they are not like us.
Yeah, but I get that Spielberg's issue was like, I don't want to other them by subtitling them, but yeah, you've done the exact opposite.
Yeah, I guess this should in every way be like the update that this musical classic sorely needs, but like, I don't know. And I felt so bad as well because like it made no money and everyone's like, you've got to see it. This is the kind of film we should be supporting. And I'm by no means too cool for Spielberg. I love Steven Spielberg. And then I saw it and I was like, well, I'm glad this didn't make any money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's It's what awards it's up for: Best Picture, Director for Spielberg, Supporting Actress for Ariana DeBose, who plays the brother's partner, as you mentioned, cinematography, costume design, production design, and sound. The cinematography is interesting. It certainly was a choice. It's like
I think it's
very,
the best thing about the film, probably. In my
yeah,
opinion.
it's very. It looks like it's very lens flare-y.
Yes, the amazing traveling lens flare show.
Yeah. But it's like lit in a really interesting way. The color grade's really interesting. But it's a very nice looking movie, I will say. And obviously, production design, costume design. It's set in the 60s, so the Academy, or the late 50s, I think. The Academy loves that.
And how likely is this to win Best Picture?
According to our Oscars odds, it's fourth.
Oh yeah. Oh well.
16 to 1 odds. Same odds as King Richard.
And where does it fit in your tier of Best Picture nominees, Aaron?
Definitely lower tier. It's the bottom of the lower tier.
So the worst one.
Yeah. In my opinion, yeah.
Well, that's pretty interesting, and I think I would like to watch this movie with someone who really likes it, and maybe someone.
I'd like to watch this movie with subtitles, so I can bloody understand what's going on.
Yeah, so I don't know. This concludes a very dour and unpopular take from
I just
three
want
people.
to ask as well, what do you guys think of generally of the music of West Side Story?
It's fine. It's not the most interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't love any of the songs. Like, you watch a musical and there's one that sticks with you afterwards, and you're like, oh, fuck yeah. But, the same as you, there were ones that were like the America, I Feel Pretty, obviously. Even G Officer Krupke, there's like an episode of Curb Enthusiasm that revolves around it. And, yeah, like I recognized a handful of the songs, but none of them have stuck with me a couple of days later.
Yeah. There's one that Ansel Elgort and Rachel Ziegler sing each other when they get married. And all I remember is it sounding like the generic blueprint for every "We're Getting Married" song that I've ever heard in a musical.
Yeah, in some ways that's what's kind of hard about the impact of West Side Story is because, everything was done 60 years ago. So back then it was like fresh and interesting and new. And you kind of feel that watching the movie, but now it's like, this is boring because I've seen this trope repeated ad infinitum. Back to me for the last 50 years in TV. One thing I would also say, I think, is like having watched Tom Hooper's Les Mis, which, hit and miss. Some people love, some people hate.
There's a musical adaptation.
But like this idea of shooting people singing live, I think, I don't know, there's something about having seen that and now having seen people doing obviously they're lip syncing to a studio record. I don't know, there's something about it that like has a sort of a barrier or a filter over it to me that makes it harder to access because you're like, well, we know that you could have done this live if you wanted to, but you just chose not to.
Disagree. I think this is a much better way to do musicals than the Tom Hooper route. I think
interesting.
I just think that in Les Mis especially, it's like this. I don't think it worked, and I think if so much of film is done like replicating what you shot, right? Like so much of it is already that why can't we have just polished? The fact that people sing in musicals is already like a supernatural narrative decision.
True.
It doesn't need to be. There is no reason why they would need to be literally singing on set. And I think that you run into a whole slew of problems when you do it that way. I think.
I guess you're right.
There's a YouTube channel called Sideways who has a great analysis of both Les Mis and Cats, and it's like why the music in them is worse than you thought. And it's like there's a lot of stuff that actually diving into musical theater terms and or music terms that you're like, oh my god, I can't believe they got away with this. That it's like things like there's a bit like essentially allowing the actors to make the decisions on set that the orchestra is then having to do much later. You miss out on a lot of things where the lyrics are supposed to sync up with the music, or they're having to add bars or notes into the music to fit the weird decision the actor made, kind of thing. And so you lose the connection and the the simpatico relationship between the music and lyrics.
I guess that's true, but then you think about like actual live sung musicals, right? I mean,
Yeah.
those function pretty well. So I don't know. I would say that there's a sort of counter argument that if you can get to a place where you're like, don't fucking put in some weird fucking beats, like just sing the song as it's on the sheet music.
In actual musical theatre, you have that immediate back and forth with the orchestra playing it. But it's funny, especially if you watch Cats, because Cats is essentially like each person gets one song sort of thing. That the ones who aren't actors, they're musical theatre people. They're not screen actors. Do a lot. Their songs a lot better. It's like, for example, Skimbleshanks, the Railway Cat, the best song in the film, is like that's a guy who, and it's because he's fucking tap dancing the entire time as well. It's like, the beat of that is very important, and he's clearly someone that's like, no, the music is supposed to lead this, not me. I'll sing along to how the song is supposed to sound.
Well,
I do think, especially Les Mis, I think Les Mis is a fascinating experiment, and I think it does work in places, and I think it doesn't work in others. But it's like, I'm glad that there exists a film done like that, where it's a musical film where acting is very much the first, like at the forefront, and then the music comes second. And then I think trying to do that again in Cats didn't work, because Cats isn't as much about the performance as
Cats is insane.
Yeah.
And it's very fitting then that we end our West Side Scushy, our West Side Story discussion, specifically in regards to whether or not it'll win Best Picture, with talking about anything else. If you enjoyed this, guys, please follow Cult Popture on Twitter or Instagram, and you can also join our Discord, which there is a link to in the show notes below. You can also chuck us some money on patreon.com/cultpopture if you'd like to do that as well, or you can email us at cultpopturemedia@gmail.com. Email us and tell us why we are so horribly wrong regarding West Side Story. I need to know why. And we'll see you next time. What are we recording next, Richard?
Should we do Drive My Car next?
Alrighty, another subtitles adventure.